All right, good evening. Thank you all again for being here. We do have some updates for you. We have also just learned a little bit more about the site and even the instability of the cranes that are on the site now and have been a part of the site, in addition to weather patterns that we do know are forthcoming. I'm going to turn it over to Chief McConnell to bring you up to speed.
Thank you,
Chief?
Madam Mayor. Um, as the mayor said, we do have some weather coming in that causes us a little bit of concern. Obviously, any weight that gets put on that building causes a little bit more possibility of damage, collapse. We're still in rescue mode. We still have one person that's unaccounted for. Our teams are once again, they're back in the building for the 5th time today. They have dogs. We've done some more investigation, and we think we're close to an area, but we still do not have a confirmation. So we're still very, very much in rescue mode, and I ask everyone to keep those folks in your prayers, that family in your prayers, and hopefully we have a positive outcome. But obviously, as we get further out, it becomes more and more difficult. The possibilities with this water coming in, with the rain adding water to the building, the possibility of things moving around, want people to be aware. We've had over the course of the last couple of days, you'll see some concrete sliding, some pieces dropping off. Obviously, water's going to add weight. It's going to add a little bit of, take away a little bit of the friction that's holding pieces onto this building. So you certainly can see things fall off of it. Don't be alarmed. We have, I said at the earlier press conference, we have increased our evacuation zone. That was due to the fact that the crane that looks damaged, we've known about. The engineers determined that the other crane is just as risky. It is just as much damage and has a possibility of collapsing as the first crane. That caused us to increase our evacuation zone. Not very much, because we had a pretty large one to begin with, given the size of the crane. The second one's a little bit smaller. So we've increased it slightly, about another half block on the Canal Street side. We'd ask everyone to heed that. It is a hard perimeter. No one is entering it, even construction folks, first responders. No one's entering that without being tracked very, very specifically. So we'd ask everyone to please honor that, remain out of this area. Our street blockages go a block behind that. All that information is available on ready.nola.gov. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We will give you an update as well. Chief Ferguson?
Yes. Again, the New Orleans Police Department is here to assist with the perimeter. Although the inner perimeter has been expanded somewhat, we still maintain the perimeter has been set since Saturday. Canal Street is closed from South Liberty to Baronne. North Rampart and South Rampart is closed from Common Street to Conti. We have extended that inner perimeter. However, we're still asking, pleading, and begging pedestrian, vehicular traffic, if you do not need to come in this area, please do not come in this area. We are doing our best to maintain the traffic flow as well. As you saw this morning, and we're doing at this very moment, we have strategically placed our officers along various high traffic volume areas to make sure that we're able to help with the ingress and egress of traffic, vehicular traffic that is, into this area and out of this area for the rest of this operation. Thank you.
311 is also prepared to receive calls from individuals who may be affected or impacted by this area. We have heard from residents who have parked their vehicles in an adjacent parking lot, and that continues to remain off limits, inaccessible. We will not in any way, of course, allow people to access those vehicles. If, please, again, call 311. It's been utilized, but specifically for people, businesses that are impacted by this particular area as it has been expanded. And I wanted to, Dr. Vegno?
We stand here ready to support anyone who might need assistance with this. This is obviously a tragedy for many of us, and we have first responders and construction workers who are continuing to be here. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that resources are available. If you or a loved one are having difficulties around this incident or in crisis or just need help with resources, Metropolitan Human Services crisis line is 504-826-2675. That's 24/7. We have had on-site counselors to support our families as well as our first responders, and we are going to continue to work with their needs.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to just rehash one thing that we talked about earlier, so I didn't touch on it. From the engineering side, we still have a ton of engineers here and more arriving to figure out exactly how we are going to mitigate this situation. You know, obviously the second crane being damaged and the plans that we had originally, you know, not being able to be used after talking to the manufacturer of the crane. We are working on several different options and running, the engineers are running calculations on that. We meet every few hours trying to get those plans developed, and we have several more engineers who will be arriving tonight. These are the best in the field. These are people who worked on ground at 9/11. So we feel confident we have the best people, but this is not a simple operation. This is not something that you do lightly. And we want to make sure that everyone's safe and no one else loses their life in this. So,
Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
WDSU, one at a time. WDSU first, please. WDSU.
How long do you think that this search and rescue can continue today?
we'll continue several more hours, certainly till it's dark. But you know, depending on what they come out with each trip, decides what we do the next trip. Dark will not. We don't stop just because it's dark. We stop because sometimes it's the dogs can no longer be worked, and we do have several other dogs. But other than that, sometimes it's where we explored one area, we determined that the person was not there, and we pick another area and keep moving.
USA Today.
USA Today. You mentioned you think you're in the area finding the person. What gives you that idea? Do you know any kind of range or proximity?
I'm sorry, apologize. Thank you. The idea of that is where the dogs are taking us. So it's like in any investigation, you go where the investigation takes you. So the dogs direct us to one area, and we go there, and they try and insert cameras. Once again, it's a very precarious situation with the unstable concrete. It's a collapsed area where we're looking. So it's difficult, and we go where, once again, where the evidence takes us.
WWL.
Can you talk about where in the building y'all have searched and kind of what those search efforts have looked like for the crews?
We've been throughout the building on the lower 8 floors, so we're positive that there's not anyone else there. So now we're above that in the collapse area, and you know, once again, you can look at the videos and everything, the pictures. That area that's collapsed on the Rampart Street side is the area we're focusing on now, and you can see it's you know, 8 floors of rubble piled up on that deck, that what's called that transfer deck, that thick concrete, and that's the area that we're concentrating on right now.
The most sensitive areas.
CNN.
Chief, could you talk about the role of the 2 cranes that arrived? We saw one of them throughout the day. How are they being utilized?
We had cranes come in early. We had a plan to utilize them. When the engineers got here, when several of the crews engineers got here and looked at that plan, they said absolutely not, you can't do it. It would, the cranes are too precarious and it could cause the crane to collapse. One of the plans that we had to utilize the crane to stabilize it. So, and that was the manufacturers of the crane, the people who built it, the people who installed it, and came to the conclusion that doing that plan would not work and it would cause more danger.
And they're actually shocked they're still standing.
Really? No, there's a piece that's literally like dangling right now. Is there anything that being done to move that piece, or?
There's a lot of stuff dangling right now. I mean, if you get a good look at it, you might be, I'm sure you're focusing on a single piece, but if you take a look at that, you have 8 floors that half of it collapsed. Half of all those floors collapsed, and they're dangling. And when you look at they're being held by metal, it's a precarious situation. So no, there's no one specific piece of concrete, and moving any one piece, it's not that you can go in there and pluck something off of it. You move that and it falls, and that's where your person is.
Yeah.
You
and just think
just
about
create
it.
more danger.
Pull
Until
one
you
piece.
know-
It's from the crane, from the actual crane.
That's our point. It's dangerous.
You talk about the there's
Yeah.
an I-beam dangling from the crane.
Yeah.
Once
That's
again,
our point.
and the mayor said it very well. They're amazed the cranes are even standing.
Yeah.
They're amazed that either crane is standing right now.
Exactly.
And so our goal is to ensure that they don't come down while we're trying to get people out. We're still in that rescue mode.
Transported at the time of the collapse.
I can't
Ma'am, it
answer
was
that.
it's a construction site, ma'am. A lot of
Sure
things
there
were
was.
going on during and people were there working.
Fox 8.
Just curious if you could go into any more detail about some of these expected materials that you're bringing in and expertise from other engineers that you're going to use to stabilize the structure.
We have some larger equipment come in, and some equipment that can help us when we get to that point, help us to pull pieces off when that time comes, if we do identify a place where the person is. But it's just larger equipment and some more engineers who have more greater expertise in this.
So that's not required before you can access this person necessarily?
We don't know where the person is, so we don't know what's required. We're trying to get everything in we can in case something's needed. Quite frankly, if we need it, we'd like to have it here instead of waiting to find out that we need it and then ask for the resource.
The avenue.
The search and rescue operation after the weather turns?
But we could. I mean, it depends. If we believe that we're close to something, we'll probably continue the operation unless we determine it to be unsafe. It just depends on what the teams see as they're in there. We'll continue it if we believe that we're close to getting someone. Absolutely.
Well, and a point that was mentioned earlier, we talked about the pool, and even since then we have made sure that the pool will not be able to hold water, pretty much creating an opening so that water can flow through. Hopefully that will, should it rain, protect any more weight on the structure.
The firefighters went up and connected the drain, which hadn't been done, went and connected the drain on the pool to make sure that the water would be drained out of the building and to not add any additional weight.
Chief, to follow up on her question, when are you expecting the new equipment?
I don't have the exact timeline in front of me, but it's some of it will be arriving late tonight.
USA Today.
Kind of rolling off of that, in terms of the specific plan to mitigate the situation in terms of structural integrity, are we talking controlled demolition or just holding everything in place?
Until we're out of rescue mode, we're not doing any demolition. Until we're assured that any viable life has been rescued and we're out of rescue mode, we're not doing any demolition, unless it's to get an individual out.
Has that been discussed as opposed to the person is found? Has that been discussed?
Absolutely. We'll do what we have to do to get to the person, but we're not doing demolition until we determine where the person is. We're still, once again, we hope there's a viable life in here.
Yeah. And the engineers have been assessing plans all day, multiple, for options.
Anyone else?
Chief, can you describe the amount of 10 teams, the manpower involved, how many people are going in at any particular?
It depends on what we're trying to accomplish. I think yesterday I had talked about we had teams going in simultaneously with the rescue dogs and then guiding engineers so they could view it. So they were going in as several teams at the same time. Teams generally somewhere between 8 to 15 people, depending on what you're going to be doing. If you're shoring up a piece of equipment, you'll have more people and more equipment. If you're shoring up a piece of the concrete, you'll need more people and more equipment. But they're generally about 8 to 15 folks.
Okay, last question, CBS News.
I just want to confirm, you said that you had gone through all the first 8 floors and did not find anyone, so the person you're still looking for is above?
No, we had found and removed someone yesterday from the 7th floor.
Okay.
And we've found another person that we have confirmed, and then there's a person that's missing.
And they're above the 8th floor?
We believe they're above the 8th floor, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.